Welcome to the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show, a broadcast service of globalbusinessnews.net.
This episode from the meeting room of Global TV Talk Show is brought to you by
The Bridge School, the accredited international online private school of choice, at bridgek12.org.
Porch Light Rental and Destination Services. Reduce your renter lump sum or managed relocation costs. Visit them at porchlightrental.com.
Cube Monk, featuring the world's first smart cube. Track your goods with our advanced GPS system. Welcome to the future of moving and relocation at cubemonk.com.
Primestone Partners, featuring corporate, government, and developer housing solutions, as well as senior-level advisory services. Find them at primestonepartners.com.
And by airs.com. With our full range of services, we can help design and manage your international relocation. Find us at airs.com.
Insured Nomads provides protection and peace of mind with health insurance, travel insurance, group, or tailored insurance for the globally mobile. Visit us at insurednomads.com.
And by International Auto Source. We are the vehicle experts for expats, featuring all major brands of automobiles with flexible solutions and financing. On the web at intlauto.com.
Become a global player in your field.
Cross Culture to Go provides virtual support for your global business and career success.
We can help you thrive in 140 plus countries and markets.
On the web at crossculturetogo.com.
It's International Women's Day. Welcome, March 8th. And the year is 2021, lucky 21, right? So today we have a very special program honoring International Women's Day, and we've got some, for lack of a better word, witnesses, participants. And so our lead guest today is from Mexico City, ADRIANA Fuentes DIAZ. Welcome, and author of 2 books, and Stuti. You're going to have to pronounce your last name because you're going to do it a lot better than me. So Stuti is in Redondo Beach in LA and is known for being an expert on design thinking. We're going to chat about that a little bit and how women and anyone can apply the design thinking techniques to doing more for themselves, maybe for the community as well. Also with us as of now, Stephen Howard, who's an author of more than 21 books over the years and has a Caliente Leadership, Caliente Press, and has been on our program several times commenting and leading about business thinking. And Stephen, we're going to show one of your slides about the brain segments, and maybe you can teach us more about that.
I'll try, Ed.
Okay, great. Well, let's welcome ADRIANA. Hello.
How are you, Ed? It's really an honor
great
to be here with you.
Great, hola. So tell me about yourself briefly. I understand from reading your LinkedIn that you're a recognized leader, thought leader, and doer in the field of advertising, marketing, and public relations with BBDO and some others. So tell us a little bit about your background in marketing, PR, and advertising, and lead us into why you decided to accumulate info to write these books.
Okay. First, I born here in Mexico City, but then I moved when I was 6 with my family to Venezuela. And I grew up in Venezuela. I spent more than 30 years in Venezuela. But for the political and economical situation, I decided to move back and to come back to Mexico City. When that happened, I have a son. Now he's a teenager. He's 15 years old. And I got married in Venezuela. I got divorced then. And when I decided to move to Mexico City, I was just by myself. My family, they didn't support me very much with that decision. They thought that I needed to have a man next to me to be successful in life. Of course, I study communication. I went to college. I studied communication. I had also the opportunity to go to Canada to study some public relations degree. And then when I came back, was not a easy decision to make, because I was by myself with my son, with my 4 suitcases and my beautiful dog Cat. So I started a new life. I was around almost 38 years old. And this is when the first time that I just really admit that I was being, a very strong woman to take that decision. So I came back to Mexico and I started looking at a new job. So finally, I went to work in BBDO. I was in charge of Mercedes-Benz brand, a luxury brand, automotive brand, and I started my new life with so many challenges, of course, but just all the time believing in myself. I think that was the most important key that I have in my life. I always believe in myself, of course, with some fears and some kind of hard decision to make. And then I can say that 8 years ago, since I'm back in Mexico, my life has been very nice, very successful, with up and downs, of course, as everybody. And then I started working in some oil and gas company. I was traveling a lot for Latin America and from to US also. And then making, of course, good money. But then I was not happy. I was not happy because I didn't have time even for myself, for my son, for my friends, for my family. And this is when I decide, I'm just telling you the short story, but then was my coach.
We'll stay tuned.
Steven was my coach in that company. And then I decided to quit and start new projects, start writing these beautiful 3 books now, and start just really doing what I was passionate about. So another very difficult decision to make. A lot of people, they thought that I was crazy. How come you will just leave a big oil and gas company and you will start, doing another project. So hard decision to make. But now I think I can tell that I'm happy more than ever in my life. So in conclusion, many difficult decisions to make, but very happy. I mean, I'm just passionate about so many things, passionate about writing my books, and passionate to especially support and help other women in Latin America.
Well, thank you so much for that deep dive. That's really informative. Tell me about the 3rd book. What's the title of that?
The 3rd book that Stephen and I will launch today is The Strong Women Speak on Leadership, Success, and Living Well. So I did this book in co-author with Stephen. Of course, the 3 of them, Stephen helped me since the beginning. And this is the third book. Now I need to take a break because I'm so tired, but I'm so happy with the results of these 3 books. And very, very happy. You can imagine it, how beautiful things happen since exactly 1 year ago when I decided to write the books. A lot of women contact me, and I've been being a speaker in some companies here in Mexico. So it's just beautiful results from these 3 books.
So some of the quotes in the book, and the only one I have is the first one, when strong women speak, strong women listen. So strong women don't want to listen. They pay no attention to weak women, right?
I see that. That's true. And maybe here in Mexico, or not Mexico, in Latin America, that things happen. I can say that I wrote this book with 2 main objectives. One, to inspire and motivate all women to achieve their goals and dreams in their life. No matter, how old you are, you always can start your new life, your new project, your new family. And second one, because we really need to be more supportive and help each other. Maybe in US, in Canada, I think women, they help more each other. But here in our Latin countries, not really much. So that's the main two objectives from my book. And I think we have to learn, to support each other.
So in the first book, which is, again, When Strong Women Speak, Strong Women Listen, the cover, All right, and we'll talk about this artwork in just a second. On page 70, there's a lot of stuff, but one of the quotes that stand out to me is from Isabel Allende. And I'm going to quickly read this thing, and I'd like you to make a comment. And then Stuti, I'd like you to jump in if you have a comment on that. Okay, here's what the quote is. I never said I wanted a happy life, but an interesting one. From separation and loss, I have learned a lot. We don't even know how strong we are until we are forced to bring that hidden strength forward. So, Adriana, can you comment about those words and that feeling behind that?
Yeah, I feel like my life is like Isabel Allende says in that quote, you know? I mean, as a woman, we always have difficult situation, difficult decision to make. But maybe sometimes we don't know the strength that we have inside us until we need that strength, you know, to pass through that specific moment. So yeah, I feel so identify with that specific role. I think it's beautiful.
So when people close to you advised you not to leave Venezuela and counseled you, as you said briefly earlier, being a single woman, it will be hard. And so you decided to move on and land on your feet. You parachuted in, right? And so what did you do when you landed on your feet? Did you go shopping?
No, not at all. I didn't have money and I didn't have time to go shopping. but yeah, I mean, like I said, it was difficult to make that decision, but I knew it was the best for me, and especially for my son, because all the things that were happening in Venezuela, of course, and me as a Mexican, you know, I didn't have another option. It was the right time to do it. So yeah, I was afraid. Yeah, I have to say and admit that I was afraid. In some other moments in my life, you know, I was afraid to make some decision, but also I just get some therapy or, you know, some other tools to get that strength inside my soul to just to achieve everything that I have in front of me. And talking about the first book, you mentioned that quote about Isabel Allende, pero a lot of people ask me about which is my favorite quote in that book or in the three books. And I can tell you that as a Mexican, I'm just so fan of Frida Kahlo. Frida Kahlo, as we know that they have very difficult life, very painful, and a lot of drama in her life. And he just devoted, he was just focusing what she was passionate about, that it was paint. So I opened the first book talking about my best Frida Kahlo quote, that is, feet, what do I need you for when I have wings to fly? And yeah, I feel the same way. I have wings to fly, so nobody will never stop me.
So Stuti, you're known in LA as a disruptor. So tell us a little bit about that and related to what Adriana was just talking about.
Right. So yes, I'm a co-host for an event called Disrupt HR that happens actually around the world, and I'm the co-host for the LA chapter. And basically, that is an event that happens where we talk about how organizations are disrupting the way we do things. And that really ties in really well with the whole design thinking concept, because design thinking disrupts what the way we have been doing things, and looks at ways, newer and creative ways of doing things. And really, the first sentence of that quote really caught my attention. I'm not looking for a happy life. I'm looking for an interesting life. That is disruption, but that is okay, because there are that's ambition talking. You want more than what you have. You deserve more. You know you have more to give to the world. You know you deserve to get back more. And that more can be a better pay, a better position, or in Adriana's situation, a better life for herself and for her son. And she wanted to do more. She had later in Mexico, she had a job with was it petroleum? But that was not enough for her. She wanted to do more. And that is a very design mindset, because you just want to always find a better way of doing things. And women around the world for centuries now have always been disruptors. We're focusing on it right now, but they have been disruptors. Look at history everywhere. Women have been disruptors.
Right. Just think of Cleopatra. Wow. So Stephen Howard, you're an author and a teacher and a thought leader, and the use of the brain. And we have a slide that Paul will put up in a moment, which shows the segments of the brain. But before that comes up, why don't you just give us a clue about leaders in business particularly, and what you've just heard from Adriana and Stuti about design thinking and taking a leader into a new place for the benefit of the company, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a nice way of tying all that together, Ed, is, so often our leaders have been dictatorial, our leaders have been control and command type leaders, and that worked in the 60s and 70s, and it may still work in the military today. But, with today's more educated workforce, what we've learned over the last 12 months in the pandemic, people need to be led. They need to be led with people who have empathy, people who we need to empower people, and we need to disrupt. We need to disrupt the way organizations been working. I mean, one good thing about the pandemic, it's been very disruptive, and smart organizations are taking that disruption and moving forward with it. And I'll just sum it up again. Talk about one of Adriana's favorite quotes, and Stuti referenced a little bit about it. One of mine, and particularly in the first book, comes from Eleanor Roosevelt, the former first lady. And I'm going to paraphrase it because I can't remember it, but it was something like, a strong woman's like a tea bag. You never know how strong she is until you put her in hot water. And and I totally agree with that.
Paul, can you find that slide that I sent you as an attachment for the brain segments? There we go.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Paul. So, Stephen, what are we looking at?
Well, so often, we focus, particularly in the business world, on rational thinking, but we do not leave our emotions behind. We don't leave our emotions in the back of our car, whether you call it a trunk or a boot, depending which part of the world you're in, and come to workplace. And actually, it's our emotions that help us create ideas, be creative, be innovative in our thinking, and to think differently. But part of this, and part of this illustration here, just sort of shows you have to link all four of those things together. You have to use your rational side, but you have to use the emotional side of your brain in a good way. Unfortunately, in the business world, and that was what one of my previous books was about, too many people allow themselves to be emotionally hijacked and make decisions, whether it's personal decisions or professional decisions. So my whole philosophy and what I'm trying to convey to people to leaders is that we need to become first responders. We need to respond to situations, respond to people, respond to events, not be first reactors. And too many people react to situations, react to events, and react to situations. And so that's what we're trying to get around from. Yeah.
So, Adriana, I'm sorry, Adriana, when you look at this thing here, and you think of yourself now, going back to when you were thinking about, and you actually did execute the move from Venezuela into Mexico City, did you go through this process? I would think you did.
Of course, many times. Sometimes by myself, sometimes with my girlfriend, sometimes with my family, even that they were not agree with my decision. But then I was like convinced that that was the best for me and for my son. And like I said, I always believe in myself. I said like, okay, what about, I was sure that was not going to be easy, even like I'm Mexican, but it's different, I came so many times Mexico for vacation, but this time I was, going to start a new life and professional way in Mexico. But no, I was like really convinced that I was going to succeed.
Yeah. So, Stuti, that chart relates to design thinking, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So, Stephen, why don't you and Stuti just talk a little bit about applications of design thinking into the leadership that's necessary now in post-COVID era. Everybody's needs have changed. The customers' needs have changed. Personal, family needs have changed. Performance management has changed. So, Stephen, how would you advise executives or anybody to use design thinking ideas to make a new, better place to work?
And thanks, Ed. And I was going to say it's International Women's Day. We'll let Stuti go first, but since you called on me, she's saying no. I think right now the number one thing that leaders need to really think about and think about how to design is, what is their wellness strategy? What is their wellness strategy for themselves? What is their wellness strategy for the workplace? And what is their well-being strategy for themselves? So well-being and wellness you could kind of use interchangeably, but I think now we really have to go back to the workplace post-pandemic and have a real focus on, and in the past, wellness, organizational wellness was like, make it physically safe, don't allow violence in the workplace. Well, now we need to make it psychologically safe. We have to allow people to express their emotions. We have to also understand that after 12 months of lockdowns and in and out of lockdowns, depending which part of the world you live in, people are going to come back to the workplace with a lot of angst, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of, we call them mental issues, and they're not mental health issues necessarily, but they're mental, emotional issues that leaders are going to have to think about. How do we design an organization strategy, and particularly HR people? How are we going to handle that? How can we give people mental days off? We give people physical days off when they're sick. There you go. And that's the same thing, Ed. I mean, not jokingly, but what is the workplace rule going to be about masks? And do you have to wear it if you're in a cubicle area? But if you're in your own office, can you take it off? But what happens if somebody comes visit you in your office? What's going to be the policy of that? Right now, I would say use design thinking right now to focus on how to make the workplace a wellness place, and for leaders, think about your own well-being, because you have to lead the talk, so to speak. So you got to take care of yourself first. You got to make sure you're physically fit, you're mentally fit, you're emotionally fit, in order for you to lead other people down that same path.
Wellness is going to be a hot topic going forward, and more about that later. So, Stuti, comment on what Stephen just said. And when, are you still doing Disrupt HR now with a view towards post-COVID management?
Yes and no, only for the reason that Disrupt HR as an organization, the event is a physical event, and the organizers decided that they would wait out COVID. And so we have not had any Disrupt events during the pandemic. However, the HR hackathons have still gone on, and we are coming up with one next month. So I'm sure when Disrupt events come up again, of course, post-COVID, how we are dealing with it in the organization are going to be the hot topics. There isn't any doubt about it. And wellness, as Stephen said, I couldn't agree more with him. Wellness and well-being are definitely the important points that we're going to focus on. However, what we have to remember is we have to meet every employee where they are, and that is what the design angle brings. So a lot of times in the last few decades, the leaders kind of gave a directive and the employees were supposed to accept it. But with the design perspective, and especially last year during the pandemic, we have gone into every employee's homes. Like, we have seen their challenges. I have a child who needs to be kind of taken through school, or I have an older parent that needs to be taken care of, or I cannot go grocery shopping because my parent is too old and lives with me and I don't want to put them at risk. So how am I, like, if I don't have Instacart, what do I do? So we have actually gone into everybody's home. So it's good and it's bad, but we need to meet. When we say wellness, when we design for wellness, we have to make sure that we are understanding all the different aspects that affect different employees. And that is definitely a place where design thinking can come into play.
Thank you, Stuti.
And just to add something else, I think with this pandemic, also women, we have new challenges, because we have to try to balance our professional life with personal life, with family life. So we need to try to balance all that things, with the pandemic. We have kids at home, and then we have our couples or, husband at home, and then we're working from home, but do we have to take care of the family, the house? So there are more challenges as a women, and yeah, we have to do our best, but like take our time and sometimes just stop and think what is the best for us, for our family, and have that strength to keep moving and to keep working.
So shifting gears a little bit, Adriana, we're going to go into high gear now. Well, so what's the difference between book number 1 and book number 3? What's the difference to you?
The difference to me, the illustration that the second book and the third book have inside, they're beautiful. Stephen, I, and also the artists work very close together making this illustration, because as you mentioned at the beginning, the book have different categories, and each category have some illustrations. So it was very nice to work with the artist, trying to see the view for her as an artist, the view for Stephen as a coach and leadership, and also my view and my thinking as an author. So was, it's a beautiful book, but also different categories, different meanings for the three of us. So I'm so sure all the people that have the opportunity to read this book, they will really enjoy the third book especially.
That's great. Now let's go back to the book number 1. Paul, if you could put this thing up, that would be great. And I'd like you just to, it's going back a couple of years now, I'm aware, but what's the meaning to you of that cover on book number 1? Paul is going to put the image up. So here we are. This is cover 1, When Strong Women Speak, Strong Women Listen. And it's really an exciting looking cover, the color scheme for sure. And it looks like there's a person striving forward, walking or slugging through something. Adriana, what do you see in that?
A strong woman, of course, in the border, like a river taking her heart from the river. That's my interpretation. Kind of a river, and she's taking her heart from the river. So as I mentioned, a strong woman. And yeah, I think I felt that way when I started writing the first book, and I really like it. I think women, we can be very strong no matter if we're alone. We have support from people around us. But yeah, like I said, sometimes we have difficult situation, or difficult decision to make, and sometimes we need to ask for help. And I can tell you it, and so many times in my life I just raise my hand and take some I don't know, kind of therapy that I needed, and sometimes, and that's good. It's not bad to be afraid. It's okay to be afraid. It's okay to ask for help. So yeah, I think it's that picture just feels so close with this painting.
Yeah, also, Ed, I spoke with the artist as she was conceptualizing this, and the background of that cover represents artistically the experiences of women. And you see that her concept was that all these life experiences, all these knowledge, she's sharing it, but she's sharing it emotionally. That's why the heart is in the hand image, if you will. I can't put my hand the right way. It's sort of like this, and then she's expressing this knowledge emotionally. And the contrast is that most men will express our knowledge, our history, our views rationally. Particularly when we speak man to man, we don't get so much in the emotion about how we feel about things. We try to argue rationally or with facts and figures more so. I mean, again, that's a stereotypical comment. I realize we're all different individuals, but in generality. And so the artist here, what she was telling me, she was trying to convey that the strong women they speak from the heart, whereas men tend to speak from the brain, so to speak, of the rational side of the brain.
Okay, Stephen. Now I know your background included some time with Time Magazine, and
Correct.
I know you're not an artist, but oh, maybe you are. But
No, no.
no. But the covers that Time used to do, and I know
Right.
they're under new management now, but in the old days, they always had somebody who meant something. All right, who conveyed an image or something.
Right.
So, how would Time, looking back, okay, how would Time Magazine portray a cover for International Women's Day?
That's a great question. I think they would have done it a little bit coming. You kind of see the picture behind me, which is by the same artist, by the way, of ADRIANA's covers. I think they would have put an individual, one woman strong, with a variety of women, in today's world, multicultural, very diverse, sort of surrounding that person. Time liked to use a lot of circular images in its cover. So I think they would have had a very strong women as a kind of your first focal point, eye point, and then, but to indicate that, and that person would have been much like the woman behind me in the picture. You could not have told the race, the nationality. All you could tell is a female figure. And then they would have had the images behind it to represent the diversity of women across the world. That's my view anyway.
So back to this book again. Just a couple of things that jumped out at me yesterday when of course I had a glass of red wine when I was doing this, but it all is meaningful. So on page 118, Mother Teresa has a quote here. The person who gives with a smile is the best giver, because God loves a cheerful giver. So, Stuti, Mother Teresa used design thinking to convey images, didn't she?
Yes, I think anything that is visual is definitely design thinking. And of course, when you receive something, if you don't receive it with the right emotion behind it, whatever you're receiving is reduced, so to say. It could be however small or big, but when you know that the person giving is giving with all their heart, I think that makes a huge difference. And I think she has painted a beautiful picture with that one statement.
Helen Keller on the same page, 118. Helen Keller is blind, of course, but was very prolific in the arts. She says, it has been said that life has treated me harshly, and sometimes I have complained in my heart because many pleasures of human experience have been withheld from me. If much has been denied me, much, very much, has been given me. Well, this is kind of heavy, Adriana, but what, I know this is a while since you looked at that, but what inspired you from that particular quote to push it?
You know what? I want to talk about the first quote that you just read about Mother Teresa, because a lot of people ask me who was the most influential woman in my life, and I can say Mother Teresa. I always respond that in the interviews that I have, because she was just devoted to help everyone in this world. So no matter what religion, no matter what culture we have, so she was just devoted to help everyone in this world. So yeah, she's the most influential woman in my life, and I think all women's, they're be inspirational for me. My mom, my sister, my cousin, my girlfriends, my colleagues, all women just inspire me to work and to work in this project and the 3 books and to write the first book. Yeah, for sure.
So having made the leap from Caracas, a troublesome place, into relative calm of Mexico City, are you viewed now by your family, who was at first reluctant, questioning? Are you viewed now as a hero for women?
Of course. Yeah. Yeah, I needed to talk like 2 years, especially, yeah, my dad and my stepfather as a fathers, they told me like I was making the wrong decision, but right now they're so proud of me. They told me, like how proud they feel that I made that decision even without their support, and they feel so happy that I'm really happy in Mexico City. We have, of course, many problems and also some political problems here, but it's a beautiful country. I'm so happy living here. I love the culture. I love the food. I love all the women that I just met in this year, in this pandemic year, regarding to my book. So yeah, I'm a happy woman. I'm a happy person, and I just feel so proud of myself. I can tell you that today, as a Women International Day, I have to pamper myself because I feel so strong. I feel so happy with all the decision that I made, and I just want to help other women to achieve with their dreams and goals.
So
And
just yes,
I was
Stephen.
gonna say, I was gonna add, she's too humble to say it, but I've gotten to know her son over the last couple of years, and her son's very proud of her as well. So she won't admit that, but her son's very glad that she made the decision, and he's getting a really good education here in Mexico City.
So is your son being trained for public relations and advertising?
Oh, he wants to be a lawyer.
Well,
So-
it's probably better, but he can apply those skills to media contracts and do quite well. So, so Paul, do you happen to have those new front covers that Steve sent over to you? Are those available? Ooh, okay. Strong women have beliefs and values. Well, of course. So, Adriana, what does this cover mean to you?
This covers a group of women together. If you can see the first two at the top, they're like kind of having a conversation, talking, helping each other. So that's what I talk a lot about, helping each other. And maybe the other one, the other figure is, just listening. So as a strong woman, all of us, we have beliefs and values. And yeah, this book talk about another different categories than the first book, but it's a easy book to read. Whenever I say to my girlfriends that whenever they don't feel good, or they need to inspire that specific day for some reason, you can open the book and you always will find a beautiful quote from for some important woman in this word. So yeah.
Okay, great. And Paul, is there another cover?
Steven can tell you about this cover because he really worked with the artists in this cover, so he can tell you about it.
Oh, she wanted to. Well, the heart was again important, and so it goes back to. If you notice, all three covers, there's a little symbolism in there, little hidden hearts in there, and everything. But here it was also brought the male image in for the first time on the cover, partly because I was the co-author. I did help select the quotes on the leadership and leading people section of this book, and then there's a wellness section as well at the back about living well and well-being. But yeah, this just sort of brought it all together with the heart and the image rising towards the top of the book, and it brought the male and female together in it, whereas the first two were male weren't. And one of the things we wanted to convey with this series is that it's not just women who need to help women, but us men need to help women, and not in a patriarchal fashion as has been historical for pretty much history, but really to work side by side with women and accompany them side by side and help them along and honor them and respect them for the successes they make. And so all this is what the kind of things I was giving the artist. I think she encapsulated that pretty well in this cover.
Adriana, why don't you just open that book or your and pick any quote and just read that before we get too close to the end here. I'd like our audience, to just see the transition from book to book.
Okay, I have one here. When we leave this world, how much we have loved will be our true legacy. it is the only thing we'll leave behind and carry with us. A beautiful quote, really meaningful. Wow, that's true. But I just wanted to add.
Tell us who it's from, please.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Virginia Woolf.
Virginia Woolf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I want to add something else that Stephen was talking about, how women and men, we have to be supportive with each other. I think these 3 books wouldn't be possible without Stephen Hill. Really, he has been very, very supportive to me since the beginning. 1 year ago, we were here in Mexico City talking about professional projects, and I came with this idea, and I started talking with him about this idea to write a book, and he just told me, okay, well, let's do it. And I was like, no, I think I need 2 or 3 years to write the first book. And he was like in shock. What? 3 years? You're crazy. No, 4 months. In 4 months, you will have that book done. So he's been very supportive. Even, English is not my first language. And we were like, he was in California, I was here in Mexico City, but we worked so close together. And yeah, this project is possible thanks to his support, and since the beginning to the end.
Well, congratulations to both of you. That's really cool. So, Stuti, what's your next project coming up? It's the hackathon for sure, and then wellness as well. Is that right?
Yes, and one of my most exciting projects is a client that I am helping design an onboarding program. So that is not just from when the person joins an organization, but from when they receive an offer. But what we are trying to do is we are trying to make it adaptable. So we are going to make sure that the onboarding program can be done virtual, can be done in person, can be done in a hybrid model. So because some people are coming back into offices, this particular client is going to keep it flexible. If you want to come into office or you don't want to come into office, that's fine by them. Of course, certain positions need to come into office, and that's being discussed openly. But so I think it's definitely going to be the model. Flexibility and adaptability are going to be trends that I think will continue at least for the next 4 or 5 years. So
flexibility and adaptability. That's great. So women have always had those skills, right? Right, Adriana?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Something that's really neat is that the Bridge School partners with various organizations to provide learning for their students. For example, we partner with a major ballet company, and we are able to enroll several of their students into our school. So now not only is the student able to participate in a school and have a seamless transition while they're very active in their ballet career, but now they have other dancers that are with them that are doing some of the same courses. So it's almost becoming a camaraderie where they're taking similar courses, they're working together on their ballet, and really being able to form this great partnership with these organizations to provide a needed service. A lot of times there are student athletes who will spend hours and hours at the gym or at the basketball courts, wherever it is. And if they're attending a traditional school, they're in school from 8 to 3. They get a quick snack, and then they're at the gym for 3 to 4 hours in the evening. Coming to us and having that partnership, they're able to break that up throughout the day. They can have a morning practice, get some schooling in, have an afternoon practice, finish their schooling in the evening. So there's that flexibility. And additionally, if there are tournaments or performances, it's fantastic because if there's a week where they have shows straight through, they can take that week off of learning and then pick back up when they're done. So it offers this great flexibility. And for the program owners of these sports leagues, it is a win-win situation for them because they see this need. They see this need that their students need to make sure that they are obtaining the grades necessary to be successful adults in our country and in other countries. But it provides them an environment where they can be successful at both.
Okay, so what's book number 4 going to be about?
No. Now I'm going to translate the 3 books because they're already asking me the 3 books in Spanish. Some people in the rest of Latin America, they're very interested to have the 3 books in Spanish. I think I will start doing some project to help other women to write their first book. So yeah, I have another project. So happy with that. So happy for that. But especially, I really want these books make the difference in some women's life. So that's the objective.
Adriana, let's go back in your life for a second when you had a marketing arrangement with Mercedes. And that's a luxury brand, of course, and the marketing of that is quite different than marketing a Kia, for instance. So how have you applied and what have you applied from that experience to the books?
Wow. That's funny because I remember that when I went to the interview, I have some experience before with the luxury brands, but they asked me like, okay, you're a woman. Are you sure you want to be in charge of this, big luxury brand? Because usually, these kind of brands they're in charge of men's. And I was like, of course, I don't know anything about cars, but yeah, of course I will learn. And that's funny because like maybe 4 months after, I was just not able to talk about that, the power of the car, about, many details about the cars. And in that time, maybe like a year ago, what I was working in Mercedes-Benz, the whole team that I have, supervisor, executives, all of us were women. So it was a big challenge. A lot of people, they thought that, it was going to be difficult for us. And that's when we win the Cannes Award for Mercedes-Benz. So it was a big challenge, but we really enjoy as a group, as a team of women working with a beautiful brand. So this book, why? Because I think all women, we can do everything we want in this life. We have to just keep working, believe in ourselves, and no matter what it is, no matter what, if some people support us or not, we can just achieve any goal and dream in our life.
So the luxury brand of Mercedes and the role of yourself and your team, I see the wheels turning already, that the ads stress safety and luxury feel and comfort on the inside, and not so much power, other than drag racing some guy who's bothering you at the stoplight, And so now you apply that to the book, right?
Exactly, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Stephen have a nice story that sometimes he was pushing me in a good way, because we're like with the deadlines to finish the first book or the second book, I don't remember which one, and he asked me like, Adriana, I really need you to give me this because I need to review, and I was like, I don't know, I'm so tired, but I mean, for me, it's always a challenge, so everything is a challenge. So Stephen have that story that I don't know if you can just comment about it.
It's the difference between being a leader and a coach in many respects. And so, Adriana and I would have a weekly Friday work in progress call about the books. And then, one Friday I needed certain things, like I think it was the dedication and the acknowledgement section. And, I was getting ready to do the pagination and layout for her books. And she goes, oh, I'm so tired. It's been a hard week. And I'll try and get them to you on Monday or Tuesday. So it's the best you can do, then I'll live with that. But I learned, one thing about strong women, the way to challenge them is kind of just do that little subtle thing. Well, that's the best you can do. I'll live with it. And then that night I was at home, Friday night at home in California, I'm watching TV and it's like 10 o'clock at night and my phone starts going off and there's all these messages. And I started looking at Adriana sending me all these WhatsApp messages. I finished the acknowledgement. I finished the dedications. It's in the email to you. She worked until midnight that night getting everything done. So like, it backfired to me because I had to get up. I had to get up Saturday and do everything on Saturday. I didn't have my weekend free.
Yeah. So who's in charge?
Yeah, exactly. But I think that's something, in many ways is what men need to learn about women, particularly strong women, is that, the different ways of motivating. And all of us, like you motivate everyone differently. But I've learned working on these 3 books with Adriana as the author and Berenice as a Latino or Latina artist, that there's a different way of motivating them than motivating male Caucasians in the United States.
Stuti, do men and women differ in how they apply and understand design thinking?
Yes, I guess a little bit, because as Stephen said earlier, men tend to rationalize a lot more. And it's generalizing, but men tend to rationalize a lot more. Women tend to empathize a little bit more. And I think it's a combination of both that is going to lead to an ideal creative solution, because you cannot keep ration out of a design process, but you also need to have the empathy part of it.
Absolutely.
So I don't know, did you happen to watch the interview last night on TV with Harry and Meghan, and how they approached, how they answered the questions from Oprah? I thought that they must have used design thinking to walk their way through that minefield. So, Stuti, what do you think?
Strangely, I usually never watch that, but I did watch it. I think they definitely had an empathetic audience, so that kind of helped. And that they knew they had an empathetic audience. So one of the reviews of the interview were that how hard could it be, because Meghan and Oprah already have a relationship. So it's like having a chat with a friend. There's not going to be harder conversations. I think the conversations were hard, but I also think that not just an audience as Oprah, but especially the American audience has been a little bit more sympathetic, understanding what Meghan has gone through. I also think that while the US has a lot to do with racism, I think the rest of the world is a lot worse. Like, I'm not saying worse, but they're behind in terms of having these conversations. So to me, it's not a surprise that she had a very hard time. I'm not even talking about the palace itself, but with the UK media. So the US is a little bit better than the rest of the world in accepting people of different backgrounds.
Except Fox News. We're not political here. It's strictly business. Stuti, thank you very much for being on the show here. Stephen, this has been great. Adriana, it's a delight to get to know you and to meet you. And please come back.
For sure. Thank you very much. It's an honor, to be in your show from Mexico City, and I hope that all the audience have the opportunity to read my book.
I look forward to coming to Mexico City again. In fact, Joanne and I were talking yesterday about Cabo or Puerto Vallarta, but maybe we'll go to Santa Fe or some other place.
Right.
Okay, well, Palenque is. I was trying to think of that. The big shopping area. She'd like that. Okay, I would too. Anyway, thank you very much. Global TV Talk Show welcomes you back anytime.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
nice.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye bye now. Bye bye.
Thank you for joining us in the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show.
Have a wonderful day, and stay safe.